Yo, what's poppin', guys, and welcome back to another episode of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 tutorial. Today, I will be covering the cameras is what I will be covering today, so I hope you are as excited as I am. If you're not, that sucks to suck, but we're gonna cover the cameras, the very basics of the cameras. I will say, when we get to animatronic movement, we're gonna be messing around with the cameras a little bit more, but we're just gonna set up the very basic of the camera, the very basics, okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to start by creating a brand new sprite, and we're going to obviously create a button that you will hover your mouse over to open up the cameras. So what I'd like to do is just take a nice little light gray outline, just like he did in FNAF, just like Scott did. FNAF, just nice gray box, just like this, right? Maybe something like that. Maybe that right there. Then what we'll do is we'll take a nice little arrow and we'll like draw a little bit of an arrow across, just like that. Again, if you want to put more time into it, I think you should. And then you're going to position it where you kind of want it. I'm going to want it right here, right? I want mine right there. So we can go ahead and then you can create another costume. You can call it just costume 2. So you can call this down. You can call the next one up. And when we're on up, we're going to take this and we're just going to flip it vertically, just so we have these two opposite things, right? Great. We're going to call this the camera button. All right, fantastic. Now what we'll do is we will set up a system that checks, first of all, I'll zoom in so we can see a little bit. It will say, when I receive green flag, it will hide, okay? Go to our light button to see where it actually checks, and you see it does, on our buttons it says night screen, wait 0.6 seconds, and then show. So that's what we'll do here as well. So when I receive night start, or night screen, it was night screen, wasn't it? Night screen, yes. Wait 0.6 seconds. Then we will have it go to where it needs to go. And then we have it show. And go to front. Just for the time being, so it'll pop up in front real quick. Just like that, and also set the costume to down so that it looks like the arrow's pointing down. Obviously, just how we want it. We will also make a variable and call it camera state. Okay, and then we will set camera state to down as well, same as the costume. Just like that. Now, if we start up our game, you will see everything seems normal here. Start this up. And then come up here, we have our little camera button down there. Now you might notice that maybe you don't like it that it's not see-through. So what you'll do is you'll come to your looks tab and you will find change color effect, and you'll switch color to ghost, and you'll change the ghost effect to maybe 50, right? Or not change ghost effect, I'm sorry. Set ghost effect, not change, set. Take a look at it now. That showed up right away that time. Why did it show up so quickly? Oh, there we go. It's one of those double click the green flag things, just scratch bean scratch. And then there you go. It's still there, but it's a little bit more invisible. And that's like that. And you can putz around with that number and make it as invisible as you'd like it to be. Or if you'd like it to cover it just how we had it, you can do that as well. Next, what we're going to do is actually set up what happens when you touch the button. So, what we will do is we will grab a forever loop. And we will say forever. Grab an if else, go to your sensing, and grab a touching mouse pointer, right? So if touching mouse pointer, change this to just normal if. Do if else, go to operators, grab an equals, go to variables, grab your camera state and put it in the first bubble, and put down in the second bubble. Okay? What we'll do is we will set camera state to up, and we will also set we're going to make a variable called camera stop. And what camera stop is going to do, right, is prevent it from, so what's going to happen, we're going to touch this button, the camera's going to pop up on screen, and then we'll do it again, it's going to go back down, right? So when we touch it, since it'll be touching the mouse pointer, if we don't set up a system to stop it from doing it again, it'll constantly go up and down really fast whenever you're touching it, and we don't want that to happen. So what we'll do is we'll have it set like this. We'll set our camera stop to off when we start the game. Set your camera stop to on, right? Before it changes your camera state to up. right? Set camera stop to up, camera state to on, just like that. Then you'll duplicate what we just made, put it in the else statement, make this a normal if. If it is up, camera stop should also be on, and then set camera state to down. We will change our camera stop to off in a different sprite, okay? So what you can do is you can then set your costume to up, and then here, set your costume to down, okay? There's one more thing you're gonna need to do. You're going to need to check right here. So put an if statement, right, around the if else you just put in here all together. And we are going to check if our camera stop equals off, because our camera stop can't be on, it has to be off. So take a look, and what it should do is we should only see that when we touch it once, it should flip its costume, and then when we touch it again, it should not flip its costume. Okay? There, flipped its costume, does not flip its costume. Good, that's just what we want, because our camera stop is off. Now what we'll do is we'll make another sprite, and we will call this the camera. Okay? And now what you need to do is we actually need to design our little camera thing of our camera animation coming up on screen. I'm going to do something super basic. I highly recommend that you do something and spend much more time on it than I'm going to be spending on it. However, yes, just spend a lot of time on it. Please don't, put zero effort into it. I'll be back once I'm done. Alright, I'm back. I made something very basic. If you check over here as I go through the sprites, you'll see just a basic animation of a camera just sliding up the screen. If you want to do that effect that I did in the first tutorial where it looks like it's actually coming upwards, you can gladly do that. Take my asset from that game. Find that video, go in the description, or just go onto my website and go through and find the assets. But here we go. We have this basic camera animation. And then what we're going to want to do is on this last one where the camera's up, so make a duplicate of this last camera where the camera is covering the whole screen. And on this final one, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make the inside completely empty, right? You want it empty, but you still want that outline. You see how we have the dark outline across the screen, how it is still present, but there's just nothing in the middle? That's what you want. So you want the animation of doing it. You want one full where it's covering the entire screen and has this gray or whatever inside. And then you want another one that is identical to the last one, just no inside. Don't forget to save. Right, now we will set up a system where when the green flag is clicked, it will hide as usual. And then we will add right, we need to do this. After we do our camera stop, you're going to want camera up, and then on the opposite, camera down. Just like that. Perfect. Don't forget to save. Head back to your camera. So when you receive camera up, what you will do is it will switch its costume to costume 1, which is our down state. Our down as far down as possible. You will go to the front layer. We will show, right? Then after we show, we will so how many costumes? So from here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we will repeat that amount of times. In my case, it's 6. If you have more frames or less frames, that number will change for you. So keep in mind, after the first one, not how many you have in total. So take how many you have in total. My case is 7, and subtract 1. So 7 minus 1 is 6. So 6 is this number right here. So repeat 6 times. I'll do a wait 0.01 seconds. And I will do next costume. If you have a bunch of costumes and it's super fluid, you don't even need this wait. My wait is in there so that it doesn't happen instantly and you can't even tell what's going on. See, take a look. Take a look. If I do this, that's what it'll look like for me. See, if I didn't have that wait in there, it'd do that. Just a little too quick for me, for my liking. I don't need that much fancy stuff. We're just doing a basic little tutorial. Then you should be left with your empty costume. Okay. And then what you do is you broadcast camera on. Okay? And then what you can do is you can set your camera state or your camera stop and set your camera stop to off. Okay? Just like that. Duplicate what you've just made. Okay? And have this set to camera down. Okay? Set your camera stop to off. Keep it off. And what you're going to want to do is up here, you're going to broadcast camera off, just like that. And now what we'll do is we'll switch our costume to 6, go to front layer show, and then we're going to have to do this one manually just because we're going backwards. In theory, you could duplicate it, have it set go backwards, and have it start a different costume and go down. I'm too lazy to, so I'll just do it this way since I don't have many costumes. So wait 1 second, and then we will switch our costume to costume 5, and then 4, whoop, and then 3, 2, 1, and then wait 1 second, and then hide. And then don't forget to set your camera stop to off. And save. So let's take a look at what this does now. Let's see if it works. Oh, double click green flag. Night 1. Okay, here we are. If you touch this, whoop, it pops up, and then you see we have the outline. Touch it again, whoop, goes down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Fantastic. And if we hold it over the button, it just does this over and over and over again, which is why we needed that camera stop, because it stops it from doing it as it's actually going through the animation. Put the camera up, camera down, camera up, camera down, camera up, camera down, camera up, camera down. Very nice. Nice sort of basic animation of the camera. Right? Super, super nice. Now what we'll do is we'll actually set up the physical camera. Alright, next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a new sprite. We're going to call it the camera screens, okay? And I'm going to leave in the description a download to this file right here, okay? It is going to be a sprite file. This comes directly from the first tutorial, where you will find this along with every other one of my screens that I made. You're going to delete all of them except your blank, okay? Or keep the other ones if you really, really want to. But really, all you want is this box, okay? And let me explain how this box works to you. This box is what will be shown on your cameras, right? When your camera is up, this is what will be visible and, able to be seen. Okay, anything outside of this black box will never be seen. So in theory, you could put a little secret just like that out there. No one would ever see this hello unless they went into the code and looked at this sprite. So you do not have to worry about anything outside of this box showing up when we do the code that we're going to set up, okay? Everything inside of this will be shown. Even though it's on the outside of the main section box, it will be shown, because what we're going to do is we're going to have the camera pan back and forth slowly when you're in the cameras, so it'll go from this side to this side, keeping its y-axis exactly the same. It'll pan back and forth just like this. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you make every single panel that you're going to have just a main empty room. Just make a main empty room. Don't put any animatronics in it yet. We'll do that all later. Just set up a empty room for each room that you're going to have in your game. I'll be right back when I do that. See, here's a quick example of how sloppy a room can look. Obviously, put more work into this than I just did, okay? For example, this is just an example of how basic you can go, right? So, like, look at this. I made this very, very sloppy. I'm sure you can tell, right? Like, just take a look at this. So, as we see this box right here, here's the box. If I send it to the front, you can see inside this box is what will be visible. This out here, this down here, all that won't be visible. Just in this box, in this original black box right here, is visible. So don't worry about anything on the outside. Alright, I'm back and I've created the basic essentials that I will need. Feel free to add as many cameras as you'd like. I'm just adding the bare minimum necessary to teach you the things that I want to teach you. I have a stage, a party room, the music box room, the middle hallway, a right vent room, or a left vent room, a right vent room, a left vent, and a right vent. Even though these two are identical, you still want separate sprites for each of them. Name your costumes accordingly, keep your blank one, and save your project. Okay, again, what we're going to cover now is incredibly basic, and we will add our animatronics in later. I'm just letting you know, when we do add in our animatronics, it is going to get much more complicated. That is a very big warning, because we are going to need to make a costume for every single individual place that they can possibly be. So we're going to have a lot more than just this. Keep that in mind as we go forward, that it will be updated very greatly, okay? So what we need to do is, in our camera screens, we need to broadcast, green flag, and hide, right? Starting off basic. So, when we receive camera up, okay, what we will do is we need to make a costume called camera number. This will keep track of which camera we're on. I'm always going to set our camera to camera 1, okay, and we're going to do show and go to 0, 0. We will then grab a forever loop, and this is where we'll set up this scrolling thing, right? The scrolling back and forth. We'll do repeat until, go to operators and grab a greater than symbol, go to motion, grab X position, put it there, and put 56 in this bubble. If you've used my sprites, exactly, my blank box sprite, this is 56. Otherwise, you're gonna have to mess around with it yourself. And do change X by 0.5. Then, just as a extra measure, we will set our X to 56. We will wait 1.5 seconds. This is how long it'll be on one end of the screen before it starts scrolling the other direction. So feel free to mess around with that number as much as you'd like. We're going to repeat what we just did here, slam it there. And instead we're going to do a less than and set this number to -53. And set this to -0.5. And then set our X to -53 and put your weight. Awesome. That's the basic of making it go back and forth. So then you're just going to quickly grab a camera down, hide, okay? And then you should get this effect when you play the game. Boop, boop. So we hop right in. Should work in theory. Pop up the camera. There we go. Basic camera. It'll stop, go that way, and then it'll go the other direction. This is the very basic idea. Very basic idea. If you really want, what we can do, since it kind of shows up beforehand. Whoop, not that. It kind of shows up beforehand. So we can do is we can do a wait 0.5 seconds maybe. Maybe that'll be a good timing. Okay, and then we'll wait here. Shows up. Boom. Okay, 0.5 is a little too slow, so let's set it to 0.4. Try again. The night screen shows. Office pops up now. Womp, 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 womp. Still a little late, so we'll try something new. We'll go 0.35. Try it again. And there we go. That's just what we need. So, what we want to do now is set up a thing that will choose which costume the sprite is on. So what we'll do is we will say night start. When I receive night start, I'm going to grab a forever loop, and we're just going to grab an if statement. Okay, we're going to do equals, grab your variable, do camera number, and 1. This is where you will number your cameras. So I will do stage as 1, okay? So switch costume to stage. If the camera is 1, set it to stage. Duplicate this. Camera is 2, party room, okay? If my camera is 3, I want it to be my music room. If my camera is 4, I want it to be my middle hall. If it's 5, I want it to be the left room. If it's 6, I want it to be the right room. If it's 7, we want it to be the left vent. And if it's 8, we want it to be the right vent. Okay, and there we go. That's the very basics. Again, when we add animatronics, there'll be a bunch of subcategories of each of the cameras depending on which animatronics are in the room. It's very easy to do. It's just complex and tedious, right? It's very easy, but just it looks super messy, and you'll understand, especially if you are familiar with the last tutorial. So, this is what we have it at right now, which is all we really need. So now you will see, remember how it was our how it was a vent, right? It was a vent last time, right? When we opened it up, it was a vent. That's because we didn't have this system set up. So now what it should be, since I haven't changed the costume, when we open this up, it should be the stage. And there we go. There is the stage. Fantastic. And it's doing its thing where it goes back and forth. All perfect, all nice and good, just like that. Put the camera back down, and everything's all good, just how we would like it. Now, what we will do is we will set up a map. So what I'm going to call this camera map. Okay, and this is that little gray thing that has all the buttons on it. So just design this however you'd like. I'm going to set mine up like this. So I'll set mine up, and then once it's done, I'll get back to you. Okay, so here's my basic map setup. I just need to do one last thing, and that is define where the player is, which is right here. Okay, once you have that set up, here's our map. So this is my stage, party room, music room, left room, right room, middle hall, vent, and then where we are. So that covers every single camera that I will need. Obviously, depending on your layout, this map will change, right? Obviously. So we're going to position this right about here. Okay, or wherever you want to position it. Just make sure it's not covering any buttons, right? So I'm going to put mine there. All right? Fantastic. So, well, all we'll need to do is grab a when I receive green flag, hide, something really easy, really nice like that. Then what we will do is we will grab when I receive camera up. We'll do that wait 0.35 seconds. Show. Go to front layer. Make sure you set where you want it to actually go. And then boom. Just like that. Now what we're going to do is you're going to keep in mind how many buttons you're going to have. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 buttons. Okay? So I'm going to just keep in mind how many buttons you're going to have on your map. So if I'm going to have 8, I'm going to then have it go backwards 8 layers, and that will make sense later when we add the buttons, because it's going to add the buttons and then it's going to go behind all the buttons. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So play our little game. Boop, boop. Okay, loads up our night just like this. That was my Discord notification, not yours. And what we do is when we go up, okay, so it's going behind everything. That's also because this is, oh wait, it doesn't need to go back yet because those things don't exist yet. The buttons don't exist yet, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. That's on me, I'm sorry. So we get into game, pop this up, and then boom, little thing shows up on screen. See how mine's covering mine up a little bit? I don't really like that. So what I'm going to do is move it over like that, and then just adjust where it is. Mine just went to 142. Perfect. And finally, what we need to do now is set up the buttons that you press to switch between cameras. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new sprite, and we're just going to make a tiny, tiny, tiny little button. And the way I'm going to set it up is I'm going to set it up just like this. I'm going to get a dark gray and then a darker gray, just like this. And we're going to go boop, just like that. We'll call the button that big. Okay. We'll call this cam1 button. Okay. Feel free to put a number on it if you'd like to actually, you know, number the button. I'm not going to. I did that for my first tutorial. I actually kind of like the idea of just having it be a little button. Like, it doesn't even need to be numbered. If you want to number it, go right ahead. I think it's kind of cool if it's not numbered. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have an off. This is our off. And then we're going to create an on costume where it's just what it looks like when it's activated. I'm going to do a dark green and then a light green. Boom, just like that. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set this little bit of information up. We're going to go like this. We're going to go, when I see the green flag, it is going to hide. Okay. When I receive camera up, we will wait 0.35 seconds. Okay, and then we will show. Okay, we will show and we will go to where we have it set up. So this is our camera 1. So that's where I want it. I want it right there. So we drag that out of where we want it to be. And then what we will do is that's about it. We will have it go to the front layer just like that. Fantastic. Don't forget to also grab camera down, hide. But now camera up, what we will do is we'll run a forever loop right here. And what we'll do is you'll say forever if else, right, equals 1. If the camera number equals 1, we will set this costume to on, else it's off. So if the camera number is what camera we're on, right, we're going to want it to look like it's on, right? Makes sense. Now we'll grab an if statement and put it underneath the if else, and we'll grab an and, just like this, okay? And we'll do if touching mouse pointer and mouse is down, this simulates a click. What we will do is we will set our camera number to 1, okay? Just so we know that we're setting our camera number to where we need to be. And that's all you need to do. Now you can duplicate this sprite, and you can call this cam2 button. Put it where you want it. I want it right here. Switch its X and Y positions accordingly. Set this number to 2 and set this number to 2. And then duplicate it again for your third spot, which I want to be right here. Okay. Switch what it says to say 3 button. Set this to whatever it is now. My case is 207 and 24. 3 and 3. And do this for every single camera that you need. I'll be back when I do that. Okay, here we are. I've set up every one of my camera buttons where they need to be. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. Perfect. And this is correlating to what I have them in my camera skins costume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, cool. Now let's see what happens when we play our game. Okay. So we get into our office. We pop up our camera. You will see that this is on. Okay. And then you also see this is in front. Let's fix this before we move on. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll say wait 0.01 seconds. This is on camera map. And then we'll do that thing that I was talking about before, where we go backwards 8 layers. Okay, should be 8. Yes, in theory it should be. I think so. If it's wrong, we'll just fix it. It's not a big deal. It's a lot of putzing around with the numbers, seeing what we need to get done. Okay, 8's too far, so it's 7. Move back 7 layers. 8 was too many. I assumed 8 because I had 8 buttons, but that actually makes sense that it wouldn't be 8 and be 7. That makes perfect sense. Okay, boop, boop. And there we go. Now our map is behind the button. Except that one. I'll putz around with it later, but see we're on camera 1. We can tell because this is on. Switch to this, and there's a party room, our music box, room 1, room 2, our main hall, our vent 1, and our vent 2. They look identical to me. Obviously, you can switch them around, but they're identical to me. But there you go. Now you can switch through your cameras. Push it down anytime. Ooh, our map doesn't go away. Okay, that's a very easy fix. Camera down, put that in the map. Boom, so that the map has camera down and it hides. All right. Fantastic. Okay. Awesome. We now have everything that we need. Right? Cool. Here, I want to try this. If I put a 0.01 second right before the buttons go. Here, I'll set this to this. Before the buttons go to front, right? If I do that to each of these, in theory, then the map should go to the front, and then 0.01 second later, then all the buttons do. So it should be just fine if I do that. Something to test out, you know? That's what you gotta do. Boop. Yep, there you go. Boom, easy. And then it goes down. All is good, and all is good. Now we have our map, which we can scroll through in our cameras. All right, that's where I'm going to end the episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, then like it. If you didn't like it anyways, because I told you to. While you're at it, I want to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy my content, that helps me out a lot. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
pop because I ain't seen no shit.